Back for the first time as a retro in this specific colorway for the first time since 2008. It has been a while, but did they do them right?
You serious?
Hey, what's going on, guys? My name's Chris. Welcome back to the official WearTesters.com YouTube channel. Today, we got a detailed look and breakdown on one of my favorite Nike basketball models of all time. And yes, I mean, of all time. These bad boys right here, or what used to be bad boys, are known as the Nike Flightposite, a shoe that debuted back in 1999. And it's a shoe that I was just drawn to, is like the easiest way that I can explain it, immediately at first glance. I mean, they look like they was from the future, man. It was dope. So first things first, the box that they come in is this guy right here. This is just a basic Nike sportswear style box. I believe this is what they came in the last time that they retroed. I think that was back in 2014, or no, I think I'm misremembering. Was that 2019? When did I tear my calf? It was 2019, my bad. 2014 was the one before that. And yes, you heard that correct. I tore my calf while playing basketball in these. No, not the shoe's fault. I played twice that day. Apparently you can't do that when you're old. Now with the box, the shoes actually come in there. Surprise, surprise, I know. And inside the box actually is this extra set of laces. They're glossy instead of like regular matte. I don't know how to explain it. Like these ones are not glossy. Same laces. Why do they come with two? I don't know. I thought it was weird, but whatever. Now, as for the shoe itself, they made their debut way back in 1999. If I'm remembering correctly, I think this was the launch colorway. Believe it or not, it's been a few years since 1999, so my memory is a little muffled. But either way, these guys right here have been dubbed the metallic golds, even though when you look at them in certain angles, they definitely give off a greenish hue. But the overall color scheme is black metallic gold. This was the follow-up model to Nike's Foamposite 1 as well as the Foamposite Pro. This was supposed to be a slimmer, more anatomically correct as far as a total foot map is concerned, lightweight version of a Foamposite sneaker wrapped up into basically flight specs. So back in the day, there was like Air Force and then there was Air Flight. This was more in the Air Flight camp, which is perfectly depicted in this 1999 Kicks magazine issue 2 ad, where you can see there's Camp Force, Camp Flight. Which camp are you in? I'm totally in this camp. Obviously the shoes help, but I mean, look at that. Look at that. Basketball cards and comics.
Swing, swing.
The designer of the shoe is Eric Avar. No surprise there. Anything from Nike from this era that is one of my all-time faves usually comes from his brain. It's crazy. Like whether we're talking about Foamposites, Pennies, the Jordan Jumpman Pro, these bad boys right here, they all come from that guy, dude. Like, dude's a legend. Yes, Aaron Cooper, awesome. Tinker Hatfield, awesome. Eric Avar, the unsung legend. And like I was saying before, the shoe itself was mapped around like the anatomical specs of an actual human foot. So the structure of the posit is supposed to give support layers to the areas in which you want support, and then flexibility zones in the areas in which you'd want that too. The posit itself was reduced in thickness from the original Foamposite 1 and Foamposite Pro. I believe the originals were about 2 millimeters thick, and it made it so that not only was the shoe lighter in weight, but a little bit more flexible, a little bit more forgiving, and broke in a hell of a lot faster. And much like regular Foamposite, the more that you kind of like put into this as far as wearing, playing, sweating, all that kind of stuff, the more that it'll mold to your foot, giving you almost a custom one-to-one fit. The shoe itself is famous or infamous for many reasons, one of which is the 5 dots that you see on the pull tab. That actually is part of Nike's Alpha Project, which is basically their crazy shit. Like the stuff that back in the late 90s and early 2000s that were, I want to say like their concept car style versions of footwear. That's what the Alpha Project was all about. They were really trying to push boundaries with all of those products. So when you see an Alpha Project shoe, they give you that initial, what the f reaction, and it was like every time. It didn't matter which category it was in. The Alpha Project stuff was bar none some of the craziest shit that Nike's ever done. And on top of all of that, the shoe was kind of synonymous with Kevin Garnett. Not only did he debut the shoe on an NBA floor in 1999, but he was also featured prominently in this commercial right here.
Take them off if I could find the laces.
But he was not the only person to wear this shoe. This was a wildly popular sneaker in that 99 to 2000 era. You had guys like Lamar Odom rocking them, Tim Duncan, Allen Houston, most of which got their own PEs, none of which were as cool as Penny himself rocking a PE pair of Black and Royals. Fun fact, Penny Hardaway was the second player to debut the shoe on an NBA court. He wore them as an Orlando Magic for only one game, which just so happened to be his final game as a Magic player. And by the way, most of the fun facts that you're seeing in the video today have been brought to you by Kick Sigma over on Instagram. You can also check out his website full of awesome information, especially on these right here. This is one of his favorite shoes of all time. So if you're interested, go check it out. The shoe was also prominently featured in one of the greatest basketball commercials of all time. And one of the most notable fun facts is actually that Time magazine in 1999 dubbed these the worst shoe of the year. Can I read the thing that they said?
Be our guest.
In Time magazine's Best and Worst of 1999, they specifically stated Nike touts this hyper-thin basketball sneaker with a zippered top as the most innovative basketball shoe on the planet. Yet the model with metallic siding looks as if it would be more at home in a small-town production of the Nutcracker than on the pirouetting feet of the gods of the National Basketball Association. If this is the next generation of hoop product, then bring back flat canvas gym shoes. And holy whoever wrote that makes me sound like a really nice guy. On top of that, I can almost guarantee you, or I take that back, I do guarantee you, that whoever wrote that plays zero basketball. Anyways, as for the shoe itself, the outsole is pretty much the same as the original, except for one glaring fact. When you look at the lateral end, everything is fine and dandy. It looks beautiful, just like it did back in 1999, but then as soon as you turn over to this medial side, what the f did they do again? Like, why would you even put this out? It's really mind-boggling that the people in charge over here are like, you know what, let's bring back a classic, but let's butcher it first. I just don't understand that. And yes, they've butchered these before. They've taken off the elastic zipper shroud and just left it with just open laces. That actually wasn't as bad as this. And I knew that they were gonna do this as soon as they announced the shoe, because they refused to show the other side. They did a whole sneakers live thing, would not show the inside of the shoe. Secondly, as soon as they announced the Clogposite, which I think are awesome by the way, I found those over at Foot Locker at an outlet price for $30 way back in the day. And yeah, then I gave them to your dad and you won't let me take them back. Because you think they're hideous.
Yep.
But you know what they have? The original outsole, which I wish these did. But anyways, as soon as I saw those Clogposite Retros and that they did show the medial side and how it was still missing all the rubber, I was like, they're doing it again. And I was told that that was actually on the table originally when they were, you know, going back and remaking these, that they were supposed to rework them so that they can bring them back true to original form for the first time, since 2008 at least. And obviously the budget is what really caused them to not go back and revamp these the way that they should have. In order for them to put that medial wrap back on there, they would have to open two different types of mold, one for the new outsole, or the old outsole that would now be new, and then two, they'd also have to do a new Foamposite mold, and that's the most expensive portion of these things right here. Foamposite is not cheap to make. It's very expensive. Is that a proper excuse though? No. They shouldn't have ruined them in the first place. Like, I don't know why they did that. Like, it's turned a shoe that I think is just so cool looking into something that is just basically a knockoff of itself, and it's like really weird. However, the tech specs are really awesome. This is the insole of the shoe. Yes, it does look like the original, and yes, it's just like the original, where it's actually a polyurethane based insole. It's very thick because this is also the midsole, and embedded within this are two Zoom Air units, one in the heel and then one in the forefoot. Yes, you could pull this out. You can stick it in other shoes. It's very thick though, so just keep that in mind. You'll definitely want to play around and see what shoes they fit best in. But that is one of the coolest aspects of the shoe itself. It's much different than its predecessor, the Foamposite, where everything was like really housed and double lasted, so it was a real thick, clunky type of shoe. This is the exact opposite. You're super low profile, so you're damn near on the floor. Again, this is a flight model and not a like big man shoe like a Air Force, despite Tim Duncan really wrecking shop in these. Mr. Fundamentals, you gotta love that. Oh, and KG was a 7-footer too. The upper obviously is Foamposite material. Yes, this is the newer style of Foamposite, so whatever that new blend is that's making them a lot softer and more wearable, or I shouldn't say more wearable, but just easily wearable without a ton of break-in time, this is that. So you can feel it, especially in hand. It's just got a nice like soft feel to it. It's nice and comfortable. I dig it. Along the medial side, you do have the ventilation vents. Awesome. The upper itself is a Lycra spandex with a zipper enclosure. These guys guys do have a Velcro tab. I've seen versions of the shoe without that piece and it's just a straight up zipper, but I believe that this is the way that they're supposed to be. Once you unzip everything inside the shoe is pretty standard. You do have a normal eye stay. You've got an internal booty sleeve, very similar to the original Foamposite 1 and Foamposite Pro. The actual makeup of that eye stay area, like the design of it, is very similar to another shrouded shoe, the Nike Zoom Glove. And yes, I know what you guys are all saying. The Green Goblin wore these in the original Spider-Man movie. It was like prominently featured on screen as soon as he stepped.
You've spun your last web, Spider-Man.
As soon as that happened, we were like, as far as fit is concerned, they do fit true to size. Whatever you typically wear, that is what I would recommend. They feel just like they have in the past. So, you know, the overall feeling isn't like anything crazy, but it's just a really cool, fun shoe that is way overpriced at this point, especially for it not being a true one-for-one remake of the original. This is something where if I was not reviewing sneakers, I would not have bought these whatsoever. Mostly because I don't want to support this crap. This is not right.
Wow.
And with all of that being said, what is today's question of the day?
What do you think is the best G.I. Joe movie that has been made, if any? And do you think they will ever get it right?
Well, the best G.I. Joe movie that's ever been made is the original. And no, I'm not talking about this one. I'm talking about the actual original. It was a animated movie, and it's still one of my favorite movies ever. I do have it on what I believe is a bootleg Blu-ray. It does not even play on most of my CD thingies, like the readers, you know what I mean? Like I was able to get my PlayStation 5 to read it, so yeah. But either way, that's the best G.I. Joe movie. You can't really change my mind. If you have not watched it, I highly recommend. I think you can actually find it, not just streaming, but I think you could find it on YouTube. I actually will be talking about that movie, coincidentally enough, pretty soon on my other channel, Some of My Favorite Things, because I just bought an action figure that should be here today. And it is a figure that, or a character that debuted in that movie, and I can't wait. Thank you guys so much for everything. Thank you so much for watching. We will catch you guys in the next one. So until then, y'all have a good one.